Hello, everybody. I am back with another one, and again, just kind of sharing my thoughts. And today, kind of just talking through. And this, again, these are just things that are on my mind. These are just my thoughts. I'm not trying to change anybody else's mind. Just sharing some things that have been on my mind for the past decade. And today, I want to kind of talk a little bit about what's wrong with the Messiah, or what's wrong with Jesus, the Christ, or the second coming to me. What I've been thinking about. And so my problem with Jesus as the Messiah and the second coming really revolves around the amount of time that has already passed. Okay. And so, it's been now, rough estimation, a little bit over 2,000 years. And there's still been nothing. And that's just being honest. That's not being disrespectful. That's being honest. And then, but once you add to that, how many people have claimed to be so sure that the end times was at that moment, that we are living in the end times? And so at this moment, we've technically been living in the end times ever since Jesus left. It's just been 2,000 years of end times. But so you've had so many people who've said, he's coming sometime soon. He's coming sometime soon. He's coming sometime soon. Every time there's been a war, oh, these are the signs of the time. Every time there's been a war in the Middle East, oh, these are the signs of the time. There was this one time when there was this incident with this Mayan calendar back in 2012, and randomly enough, hey, again, these are the signs of the times. And then there was this other time that some computer programmers thought that computers might not be able to handle the clocks switching over for 2000. And wow, the church really attached to that and said, yep, this is a sign of the time. And, and then every time Christians are collectively disappointed in something, such as Trump's loss, all of a sudden, again, it's the signs of the time. And so at that moment, you're moving the goalposts so much that it can't help but to generate doubt. That these people are claiming to be scholastically sound, biblically sound, academically sound, as many of the people who jump in my comments, but have nothing to show for it. So for me, that was kind of a problem, that so many people kept saying, oh, it's going to come, it's going to come, it's going to come. So even now, I can't take anybody seriously when they're like, oh, these are the end times. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, okay. But so it's a problem. And to be certain, these people are wrong a lot. And just to clarify what I mean about a lot, I mean every single time, every time someone is predicted that Jesus was returning, you know what I'm saying? Even when majority of Christians, or a lot of Christians, attach themselves to it, a lot of believers attach themselves to it, nothing happened. Which kind of brings me to that second part, which, well, actually, I'll move to a mid part, because there's so many people who believe that when these people say it, they believe it because they've already predisposed themselves to believe things without evidence. So just because somebody says that Jesus is coming, there are people who went out and sold their houses. There are people who went out and did all types of crazy stuff and had to deal with that backlash. And none of those people who were saying, oh, it's coming, and none of those believers did anything to kind of help those people out. And so to me, that's just kind of sad. And again, a little disingenuous. If you get it wrong, act like you got it wrong. All right. And so, but then the next point is, how many people have died or killed themselves around this belief? How many people have died believing that, oh, Jesus is coming back today, and if I kill myself, I can meet him in heaven? Or if Jesus is coming back soon, if I kill myself, I can get on the great spaceship. There's so many beliefs that end up spewing from this one misunderstanding in scripture, or just in a belief system, that ends up hurting and damaging so many people. And to me, that's truly a sad state of affairs, and anybody who truly cares about people should be concerned about investigating beliefs that lead to incidents such as these. So that's kind of my early thoughts, but then I kind of move on from there as well, because even as a former believer, I've read through the Bible my whole life, started as a child, and the weirdest thing to me is reading Genesis through Malachi and then getting to Matthew, and then it's all of a sudden, hey, God's son is here. And it's like, whoa, where the hell did this guy come from? Because he wasn't mentioned anywhere. And of course, there are people who will try to twist prophecies to make them fit that way, or twist scriptures and then call those scriptures prophecies when those scriptures are not prophecies. Like stuff in the book of Psalms is not prophecy, right? But people will take stuff in Psalms and take one little small part out of it and said, oh yeah, you see this? This prophesies a suffering servant. But then if you go down a few more scriptures, right within that same chapter, it also says this person is going to be threatened by bulls, and this person is going to be done by this. And then none of those things apply. None of those things can be applied because it's not there. And so again, so that kind of third point is, from what I've seen, and hey, I could be wrong. But from what I've seen, the Old Testament, there's no Old Testament scripture that actually references Jesus in the way that we claim to. Every scripture that's used to reference Jesus, specifically him being the Son of God, him being the Messiah, him being crucified, and him being resurrected, every scripture that is used from the Old Testament is twisted out of context. Every single one of them. This is why every time someone teaches it, they never teach the context of the scripture. They just grab this little thing like, oh, he was bruised for my iniquities. Well, how did you know this was talking about Jesus unless you're reading that whole chapter? But then, of course, the theological pull is, don't read the rest of the chapter. I'm telling you, this part right here is prophesying what I'm telling you is saying. Which, again, I find a little disingenuous. If it says what it says, then it should be able to be studied as written. It should be able to be studied as written, and we should be able to all come to the same conclusion. But unfortunately, even when it's studied as written, even when you've translated into English, which I will agree is problematic, even when you translate it into English, you result in over 45,000 different denominations. And even within those different denominations, it's really hard to find two believers who actually believe the same thing, though they claim to get their beliefs from the same book. But as you'll see kind of from the things that I'm showing, is that people really don't get their beliefs from the book. They're getting their beliefs from the presuppositions that were placed on them in relationship with the book. And taking these Old Testament scriptures and twisting them this way has created a lot of contention between Christians and Jews historically. Just to give you a specific example, the Old Testament does not predict a virgin birth. It does not exist. The scripture that is used from Isaiah chapter 7, the actual language there, and again, it's very important to study the language things were written in. The actual language there says a young unmarried woman, not a virgin. That is not expected at all. But not only does the Old Testament not prophesy a virgin birth, here's another interesting thing. In both Matthew's gospel and Luke's gospel, the genealogy of Jesus is given as starting with Joseph, suggesting that Jesus and Joseph share a genealogy. Now, if Jesus and Joseph share a genealogy, that indicates that they are biologically related. And again, why is Joseph's genealogy given? It's because Jesus, if he is to be the Messiah, according to the Christian faith, is supposed to be of the tribe of Judah through the root of Jesse, which he comes in through Joseph, if that is to be believed. But I'll take it even further than that. Not only is that there, but you have Mark, John, Peter, and Paul who never mention a virgin birth. So again, if we get our belief systems, or if you get your belief systems, my belief systems are no longer attached to it, sorry. But if you get your belief systems from the book, then your belief system should be supported by the book and not by some specific denominations or specific creed of the book. All right, so there is no valid support for an expected crucifixion, but I'll let that slide and talk about that on another date. Instead, I'll focus on the resurrection. My biggest contention with Jesus is ultimately the second coming. And understand, when I say my contention with Jesus, I'm not talking about Jesus the person. I don't know Jesus the person. I'm talking about our relationship with the character based on this character's portrayal in a book. And so my biggest contention with Jesus is ultimately the second coming. If the birth of Jesus is the first coming, then why isn't the resurrection of Jesus the second coming? Okay, he was gone for 3 days in hell. Now, maybe for those of you who still believe that hell is somewhere in the earth, then sure, you can be like, well, that don't count because he didn't leave the earth, right? But for those of you who have already given that, no, the hell is somewhere spiritual, it's in the ether somewhere. Then for you, then okay, so he left earth, he came to earth, and then he left earth, and then he came back to earth. See, that would be the second coming. So what you're waiting on now is a third coming, not a second coming. And it's very interesting, even at that time, he told the disciples that are with him, some of you will be here when I get back. And specifically, I wish it would have been written that way, but it's not. It says that it will still be within your lifetime, which means even if you're not here, your lifetime, your lifespan, it could still be somewhere within that time frame, okay? We are, again, at this moment, more than 2,000 years past that point. Even in Revelations, John's revelation, which so many Christians like to hold on to, the word is, behold, I come quickly. 2,000 years later is not come quickly. I know there's a song, it may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. But let's just agree to admit that that makes absolutely no sense. So, you know, the big point is, much of what we teach about Jesus in the Western church is not in alignment with Scripture as a whole, and doesn't actually wrestle with reality as we know it, as we've learned it. And so people who are attaching themselves to this, and I won't talk about those, I'll talk about me. For me, I made the decision not to live my life as if 2,000 years of history and scientific progress has not happened. Welcome to the new world. I think anybody doing anything other than that is just a little disingenuous. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your support.